Hi guys, it's Brian here and we are back with another review video. This week we're going to be looking at the base model 13-inch MacBook Pro, Apple's new M1 Mac, and I'm going to be telling you guys whether or not you should get one of these. The M1 chip is the first chip designed specifically for Mac. The M1 Mac contains an 8-core CPU, and one thing Apple keeps emphasizing on throughout the announcement of the new M1 Mac is the unbelievable energy efficiency that this thing provides. As a result, we see huge gains when it comes to battery life. Apple claims that the M1 Mac has up to twice the amount of battery of the 2017 MacBook Pro. If those claims are to be true, this means that this beast right here has up to 20 hours of battery life, the longest that we've ever seen in any Mac. Now, from our personal tests, we find this to be really true. We had a really hard time trying to drain the battery. It took us things like running 4K YouTube videos in the background while simultaneously using multiple different apps in order to get the battery down. And even then, we could get up to a good 8 to 10 hours of usage. So in my opinion, I personally think that the battery life on this Mac right here is great. Now, with its unbelievable lightweight, size and battery life, this thing is great for someone who do not want something bulky to carry around with them at all times. Now, the thing about this MacBook is it still has the usual premium, light and thin Apple sort of MacBook look that we are so used to seeing. Now let me show you. However, the base model only comes with 8 gigs of unified memory and 256 gigs of SSD. If you want to add on an additional 8 gigs of RAM, they'll cost you an additional 800 Malaysian ringgit, if you're staying in Malaysia, of course. Now, paying an additional 800 ringgit for an additional 8 gigs of RAM is an insane price to pay. That's one of the most Apple thing that Apple could have ever come up with. Now, you're also stuck with 16 gigs of RAM because you can't go anywhere above 16. So if you decided to go for the 16 gigs model outright, you'll be stuck with 16 gigs for the next 3, 4, 5 years or however many years that you choose to use this M1 MacBook for. You're also stuck with 2 USB ports on the right side, and that's about it. Now, a storage problem can be easily solved by carrying around with you an external drive, as long as you don't mind carrying around one of these with you all the time. Now, I think the M1 MacBook Pro is pretty fine for people who is interested in using Apple software and those who don't use a bunch of peripherals like keyboards, headphones and stuff like that, because you have to keep in mind that you only have 2 USB ports to work with. Now, the new Magic Keyboard is amazing, and from what I've heard, there have been no reliability issues so far. The Force Touch trackpad is still the best trackpad out there, and the touch bar is as great as it has always been. We also did some benchmarks between the M1 MacBook Pro, 2019 16-inch MacBook Pro, and an older 13-inch MacBook Pro. In terms of Cinebench R23 scores, the M1 Mac absolutely exceeded my expectations, showing scores close to the 2019 16-inch MacBook Pro when it came to multi-core performance, and even surpassed the 16-inch MacBook Pro when it came to single-core performance. And even in Geekbench 5 multi-core tests, the M1 was actually faster, so that's pretty surprising to me. So while running these benchmarks, I noticed one incredibly important thing. Even with everything running at its highest, I can barely hear the fan on this device. So unless you're routinely pushing heavy sustained workloads, you probably won't be hearing any fan noise anytime soon. Oh yeah, and you can finally open this thing up with one hand. So overall, I'm really impressed with what Apple has done with the new M1 Mac. Apple claims that the new M1 chip has up to 2.8 times better CPU performance, 5 times better graphic speed, and up to 11 times better machine learning. Now, these things are definitely very hard to measure. The only way you can measure them is by looking at benchmark results, but the overall user experience has been pretty pleasant. Everything feels extremely snappy and responsive. The startup times and shutdown times has been near instantaneous. Everything has been instant. So the overall experience has been really great for me. However, I still don't think that this is for everyone. So back to my initial question, who do I think this laptop is suitable for? Well, it all comes down to what you are looking for. If you're an aspiring content creator who's just starting out and you're looking for a nice laptop as your workstation, you can definitely consider this MacBook Pro. However, if you are a long-time content creator who's looking for a brand new laptop to do all your work in, I think you're better off being patient and waiting for the next generation. You have to keep in mind that this is the first generation of Apple's M1 lineup, and just like all first generations out there like the iPhone X, this is sort of like the beta testing generation. The next generation is definitely going to be leaps and bounds better than this current generation. So if you can afford to be patient, I think it's definitely worth the wait to wait for the 2021's MacBook Pro. Alright, so thanks everyone for watching this short review on the M1 MacBook Pro. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and we'll see you guys next time. Wait, one more thing. Now, for those of you who have been following us for a long time now, you'll realize that our content consists of English videos, Bahasa Malaysia videos, and Chinese videos. Now, you may ask why? Well, it's because we strive to provide you with a wide variety of content so that everyone can enjoy them. So make sure that you guys stay subscribed and we'll keep bringing you them.